I'm here on First Street where crime scene investigators had the area roped off.
Many people are alarmed by the growing number of robberies. That's why police are taking a proactive approach.
A criminal offense could be jail time plus the fine. Simply put, if it's too hot for you, it could be too hot for your animal. Donations like this, put them in these bins, and once these bins get full, they're brought over here to this truck for the Salvation Army, and the Salvation Army then takes them and sorts them. And joining me now is Tim Clark, Captain Tim Clark of the Salvation Army. Tim, what happens with these supplies once you get them?
As you can see behind me, a large crowd of people has gathered here at the new building. The music is going down here and it's filling up with people. Down at the waterfront, though, it's a different situation. It's basically empty except for crews, which are finishing putting everything together. Last season, the city received $1.25 for every ticket sold. That totaled to $110,000. It's still kind of a mystery. They really don't know what sets these people off. Bryant and Cini were very close, and during the trial, Bryant kept a photo of his friend in his jacket pocket. But despite that, the judge sentenced Bryant to 15 years in prison with all but 9 years suspended. The sun shines down on the Memorial Chapel in Patton as community members come together to remember one of their own. Park Ranger Nick Hall gave his life saving for others.
Nick was strong, Nick was focused, he was dedicated to being a good rescuer and a good climber.
Hall was part of a team of park rangers rescuing 4 people trapped in a crevasse near the top of Mount Rainier. Partway through the rescue, something terrible went wrong, and Hall lost his footing.
We don't know exactly what happened, but there was a slip, and Nick started to slide down the hill. It looked for a while like he was going to stop himself, and then he disappeared over a crevasse and kept tumbling for several thousand feet.
Now the Rangers that were with Hall last greet the friends and family that loved him the most. A service so full of people there isn't enough room in the chapel for everyone. Stefan Lofgren was on Mount Rainier with Hall the day he died. Lofgren says Hall was an expert climber who loved his job. Those who knew Nick Hall describe him as quiet and determined.
He didn't express himself overtly often, but he was very strong, so when he said something, his words lent that much more power to those words.
A strength that will no longer be heard, but will continue to be felt. In Patton, John Zero, News Center. December 7th, 1941.
In an hour and 50 minutes, 2,403 people lost their lives.
70 years later, veterans in Bangor remember the attack on Pearl Harbor. Robert Coles was serving on a destroyer. He was 2 weeks short of his 18th birthday when he saw Japanese fighter planes flying overhead.
I saw the bombs or stuff falling out of the aircraft hitting Ford Island or stuff like that. And in my teenage mind, I just quickly said, this is not a exercise, this is not a drill, this is war.
Coles says he loaded a .50 caliber machine gun and began firing at the enemy planes.
I was breathing heavy, but I wasn't scared because it was happening around me and not to me. I saw this huge black explosion, which turned out to be the Arizona. And behind me, I saw another explosion, which turned out to be the USS Shaw.
As a nation, we clearly connect with the day. It defined our history at that particular point in time and really who we've become since then.
Today we're here to honor, to remember, and to hold in prayer those service people who were serving in the armed forces in Hawaii.
Many of us go off for a year and come back. My father and his generation went off and came back when it was over. And I think that's the remarkable part about this service, even to this day in my mind.
A battle that pulled the nation into war.
Carry on and do the best of your ability. The country, don't fall asleep again.
And the men and women who stood on guard. In Bangor, John Zero, News Center. Wendy Farley of Brownville has been married for 30 years. Now the mother of 13 could see the next 30 years behind bars for allegedly trying to hire a hitman to murder her husband.
She wanted to get rid of her husband because she was tired of the situation she was in.
She appeared before a judge in Piscataquis County to answer the claims. Friends of Farley say she is a good person and they had no idea anything was wrong with her marriage.
She doesn't talk about her marriage. I mean, we go out and have a good time, play music, she sings, and 2 weeks ago her 2 daughters were with her singing. I just can't believe it. I'm sure there's more to this story.
Brownville Police Chief Nick Kluge says there is no police record of any type of abuse.
We have no history of abuse at the office. We've searched our records. I run a criminal history check and all that, and we have no history of any domestic abuse to our knowledge.
Still wearing her wedding ring in court, Farley is a religious person.
She loves her children so much.
But court documents reveal that she had been having multiple affairs and that she had been thinking about ways to kill her husband for several years. Her alleged plan was for his death to look like a hunting accident.
As far as I was concerned, always a very peaceful family.
Peace that's now replaced with a dark reality. In Dover Foxcroft, John Zero, News Center. With just 500 residents, the town of Cambridge sits in the northeast corner of Somerset County.
Everyone's like family in this town.
But the rosy image of life here is met with a dark thorn. Caution tape wraps around the Licata home. Detectives work to piece together the final moments of 63-year-old Alfred Licata's life. Flags mark the spot where he died in his front lawn the night before.
People here are all wonderful people, and I'm really shocked about it. And people so far that have come in have said the same thing. They're really surprised.
Police say Licata's wife Arlene found his body. They say the couple's 33-year-old son Angelo committed this crime. Now he appears in district court in Skowhegan on charges of murder.
They were very quiet. I mean, you never hear anything of them from another family member, especially their son. You wouldn't expect that.
According to court documents, Licata may have died from a blow to the head. The exact cause of his death is under investigation.
It kind of makes me not want to walk around in this town anymore, and for a while until things are all done and not so suspicious.
I think it's a one-time incident. This is a very quiet town, and like I said, really good people. I'm really surprised, and I feel bad for the family.
A police report states that Angelo Licata turned himself into the Waterville Police Department after admitting to a friend he had just killed his father. Like so many other small towns in Maine, community members say they've learned to band together during hard times. They say they'll reach out to the family and help them any way they can now.
We will get something together for the family, and if they need any help at all, we usually will send food to them or any help they need. We like to do something from the store.
A community troubled by a night of violence. In Cambridge, John Zero, News Center.